Hello and welcome today to another episode. Kind of early for me. Well, I'm still not fully awake, so I'm drinking me a cup of coffee. Anyway, today I wanted to speak to you about the similarities and differences in science and history. So, we're going to talk about the positives and negatives as they kind of sit. So, um, or at least the similarities and differences. History is very much fact driven. It's evidence driven like science. But unlike science, there's a lot more piecing together uh, of what happened. Because a lot of times in histories, you don't have the full story. In science, you can usually piece together things and understand how things work because a lot of the things can usually be broken down into mathematical equations. Some fields, like biology or geology, require a little more work, but usually you can break them down into scientific equations. And it's easy to pull in the next piece. Well, I won't say easy, easier. There's a lot of speculation in history. So that's kind of a bit of a difference here. I mean, they both require a lot of research, a lot of study. I mean, our study of the past often takes time to go over documents and hearsay, anecdotal evidence, first and third person sources, and it's often a piecing together of this evidence to find what you can use and what the actual story is. And a lot of the times, historians are often off on this or that because a historian will often look to uh, see if they agree with what happened based on what a historian has said. Now, science, um, they usually test as well. There's a lot of research, a lot of testing, a lot of checking of your hypothesis. But the thing is, with science, sometimes it's very straightforward, which I guess in history sometimes you can have answers. It can be very straightforward. But more often than not, you have to piece things together. And in history, sometimes you have to piece things together. You have to look at evidence. I mean, the theory of gravity wasn't just, hey, it's abundantly clear that there is a force that holds us down, even though it seems so simple now. And another thing, the word theory does not mean it's just a guess. This bothers me. But people hear theory and they're like, see, it's not even proven. No, you're an idiot. That's proven. Theory in science is not the same as this is just my thought. No, it's pretty much a set of principles that say yes, this happens. You're going to have to get used to it. Um, but I'm kind of hopping off topic a bit here. Science and history require a lot of research. That's why they feel so similar. The thing about science is that it applies a lot to our everyday life, and it's pretty clear. History actually applies to our everyday life, but it's not as clear cut as science is. Whereas the sciences you can look at and say, yeah, it's pretty clear that the mathematics are involved here, or biology is involved here. Yeah, history, it's harder to tell. But if you look and take a look at history, you can see how it applies. Events often lead up to something happening, or there's often something in the past that repeats itself and you can see how it's happening. Again, history's not there to be your proving ground, to be your fact checker, but it does show what happens. And so it is always a good thing to be able to have access to. I always think the access to materials, like right now, I have a bunch of books lined up here. I've tried to categorize them, and I have more. This is just what I have at the moment with me for quick access. But it is books upon books upon books. And then like I said, I have more elsewhere. Yeah. And then there's wealths, a plentitude of information. There we go. Since I can't say THS for some reason. There's a plentitude of information on the internet. Wikipedia is a huge source. And then there's other websites. Like with the state flags, I've been using 50 states a lot, and I found it's very useful. Um, because it has images of the flags and their introduction. But I think we should always have access to the sciences, to history, because they're both very important. And the fact that they're being driven back, it feels like humanity is going backwards. It really does. We need a new intellectual age. We had to have one during the Cold War because, oh, we've got to be a better nation. And suddenly science and everything was huge. Education was important. But in the 80s, it started to die down because we was in the lead and the Soviet Union was starting to fall apart. And at that point, we started to make cuts in our education budget, and it's suffered ever since. It's sad that the only time we can have a intellectual boom is in the time of war or fear of war because we want intellectual people to make rockets and other things. But yes, history and science, they have quite a few similarities. They do have their differences as well because there's a lot more speculation that's often required in history than when you're trying to piece something together. Like I said, with mathematics or with sciences, you can often pretty much see, and it's not all knowing, but it has answers and it has ways to get answers. And it slowly by slowly, it's shed parts of the religious mystery cloud that we've surrounded ourselves in. You know, history and sciences, I think if you really study those two things, you could have a good idea of what the world is like. You can know what's going on. And they encompass quite a bit. And honestly, when the stars have dimmed, there's not much going on. Science and history will be the still happening because even though there isn't much going on, history's still happening. It's still being recorded. Well, not necessarily being recorded, but it's still going on. Science is still going on. Even when many civilizations have come and gone, races of people have come and gone, races of beings, not e- even just humans when there's no longer humans. History and science will continue. That's just a fact. We're going to have to get used to that. To think that we are the end all be all is quite frankly egotistical. I mean, how self serving do you have to be to think that once humans are gone, that's it? You have to realize our galaxy is tremendous. Just our galaxy. The Voyager probe was sent out about 30, what was it, 25 year ago? 25, 30 years. It's just now on the end of our solar system. Our solar system comprises of more than just the planets and asteroid belts and the sun. It goes much further out. So it's still on just the edge of our solar system, not even in another part of our galaxy yet. It may be kind of just tripping into it, but it's about in that range. That's it. And then you have to remember, in each galaxy, hundreds of planets, several solar systems. I mean, we're not talking 10, we're not talking 100. We're talking in the hundreds, if not thousands range of solar systems in a galaxy. And we're just one galaxy of many galaxies. Again, not talking about 10, not talking about 100, because galaxies often form in little clusters. So if you've ever looked at a spatial map of the universe, you often have clusters of galaxies. They're spread apart. We know the universe is moving apart. Although some of the galaxies will collide, like our solar system, the Milky Way, will collide with the Andromeda galaxy. Some some planets will get slung out of the way, some won't. But anyway, kind of getting off topic. My point is, history and science will continue even when we're gone. But anyway, that's just kind of what I wanted to say. And educate thyself. Read, study, and learn. Okay. Thank you for watching. I've got to go. Bye.